Lanterns are a type of classic lamp that used to be widely used. This lamp is a type of oil lamp, and it produces very bright light. So how can lanterns produce such bright light? This video will answer that question. The light produced by the lantern comes from the lamp cloth that is heated by fire. So, if you ask why it produces very bright light, that's because of the lamp cloth. This cloth is made of a special cloth that can shine brightly when heated. So, this lamp cloth is made of a mixture of silk and some iron oxides, such as thorium oxide, cerium oxide, and magnesium oxide. When the fire burns the cloth, first the silk will burn and then the burning silk triggers the iron oxide to burn. But it only lasts a moment. When the silk has burned out, the effect will be over. But when we blow gas onto the surface of this cloth, it will keep the cloth shining. So, in essence, the light produced by the lantern comes from the lamp cloth that gets a gas supply from the upper area. The higher the intensity of the gas supply, the brighter the light. Then what is the mechanism for supplying the gas? We move to the lower area. Here we will see a component called the fuel tank. This is where the fuel for the lamp will be stored. In the fuel tank, there are several components. The first is the fuel pump. This functions to increase the air pressure in the tank. Then there is the vaporizer hose. This hose has a channel that connects the tank to the upper area, so that the fuel that has been pressed will be pushed into the vaporizer hose and it will fill the vaporizer hose. This hose functions to evaporate the fuel that was originally in liquid form into gas. Why does it have to be evaporated? The reason is that the release of heat will be more efficient when the fuel is in gas form. And when it becomes gas, the fuel molecules can be more evenly distributed over all parts of the fabric. While in liquid form, the molecules will collect in each drop of fuel. It will burn the fabric and not emit light. Then at the top end, there is a small hole. If we look inside, there is a needle with a sharp tip and part of the tip enters this hole. This is called a nozzle. The nozzle has a function to accelerate the flow of gas. The trick is to narrow the place where the gas comes out. So, as I said earlier, in this hose the fuel will be converted into gas. Now when it turns into gas, the fuel pressure also increases. So, through a small hole in the nozzle, pressurized gas from the inside will be blown upwards. This gas blast is channeled to the lamp cloth to produce light. Then at the bottom there is a kind of tap. This is a gas valve. So when we tighten this valve, the valve will be pushed inward. Because the tip is pointed, the movement of the valve will push the nozzle up. This movement will close this gap. When we loosen the valve, the spring will push the nozzle down, so that the gap above can open again. So, this is a mechanism for regulating the intensity of the light by regulating the gas supply. Then we go back up, the gas blast from the nozzle will enter the mixing hose. But here the hose is separate. The gap that separates these two channels is called air intake. Its function is to bring in air with gas to supply to the lamp cloth. Why should air be included? To create combustion, we need two elements, fuel and oxygen. While in the lamp cloth area, there is a great lack of oxygen. This is because combustion occurs here, which produces carbon dioxide. In other words, here it will be filled with carbon dioxide. Therefore, so that combustion can continue, oxygen is supplied from this air intake. In principle, this uses Bernoulli's law. So, the point is, when gas flows at high speed, some of the air around the flow will be carried by the gas flow. So, what comes out of the nozzle is fuel in the form of gas. The gas is blown towards the mixing hose and the air is carried into the mixing hose. So, in this mixing hose, there is a mixture of gas and air. Finally, there is a preheater. This is a kind of small nozzle that is channeled directly from the tank. When the tank pressure rises, we can open this preheater. Then the gas will be sprayed. When we give a spark, it will spray fire towards the lamp cloth. This has two functions. The first is to light the lamp cloth. And secondly, as a preheater on the vaporizer hose so that the fuel here can change into vapor. So, the mechanism of the lantern, first we need to fill the tank with fuel. Then we pump the tank until the pressure is around 2 atmospheres. That will push the fuel into the vaporizer hose. Then we open the preheater. Some of the pressurized air in the tank will come out through the preheater. So, when we give fire, it will light up. The flame will heat the vaporizer hose and light the lamp cloth. In about a minute, some of the fuel has evaporated. Then we open the nozzle. It will blow pressurized gas from the nozzle towards the mixing hose. Here, there is a mixture of gas and air, so that it can light the lamp cloth and make it shine. When the lamp cloth is shining, we close the preheater, and the lantern has successfully turned on. So that's how the lantern works. Hopefully it will increase our insight.